Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Friends of the Squared Circle. I'm your host, Crander Q, aka my real name. This is a show where I bring my friends on to discuss what they love about professional wrestling, what got them into professional wrestling, and more importantly, my favorite part, what they collect. Now, when it comes to the collection portion, it necessarily doesn't have to be wrestling related. Doesn't have to be wrestling related. Stumbling over my words here. Before we start and bring in our guest today, who is Robert, just want to give a huge shout out to some of the people who sponsor us here at Friends of the Squared Circle. That being Darren Corbin. You can follow Darren Corbin on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and yes, people, Darren Corbin is on TikTok. Another great way to support your WrestlePalooza champion is at Patreon, patreon.com/Darren Corbin, where tiers start at just $1. Also, huge shout out to Superior Creations for all your custom tumbler needs. Now, let me show you the beautiful custom tumbler I got made. Was a Stone Cold on one side, as well as the Undertaker on the other side. Those are beautiful. But back to our first sponsor, my favorite wrestler, Darren Corbin. Now, nice and pretty. And you can give Superior Creations a follow at Superior Creations on Facebook. Also, huge shout out to Artisan Tattoo for agreeing to sponsor this podcast. Check out DJ at Artisan in Eau Claire, Wisconsin there. Find them on Facebook at Artisan. Now, tattoos are forever, and so is wrestling. Huge shout out to the boys at 13 Cards Subject to Change, who are always willing to help me with any of my Friends of the Squared Circle needs. Want to give a huge shout out to Leroy. Happy birthday, Zach, and Jesse. Now, let's bring him in. My boy, Robert, definitely not rude. Here he comes. How we doing, Robert?
Good. How are you?
Good. Let me just focus the camera so I can see my big, beautiful beard and show off my Seth Rollins shirt. I see you got some Top Flight there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Minneapolis' own. So, now, I know we're just going to wing it here because, I'm not a professional. So, we'll just dive right into it. That way there's no awkwardness or any mumbling. Let's talk about your first memories in wrestling.
I'd have to say kind of started, I would say, early 90s. My grandpa kind of was back NWA days. They came to Ashland a couple times. I remember he used to be pretty big on the Von Erichs. I guess they wrestled at Northland College here a couple times. That was
okay.
way back before my days, but he kind of got me into it. From there, it was just kind of me getting into it after he passed away, because he passed away when I was like 5. But majority of my experiences with wrestling younger was WCW. Was pretty big Goldberg fan. I don't know why. Probably just because he was the guy that could not be beaten at the time.
Right. And I'll let you have that one. I'm not a huge Goldberg fan, but also for me, WCW was great. Also, my grandpa allowed me to watch it in their spare bedroom there, and grandma hated it, so I had to learn to do the channel return, so that way she didn't catch me watching wrestling. Now, you said Goldberg because he couldn't be beat. What other things did you like about Goldberg?
Kind of, I guess the big part of it was just kind of how strong he was. He was like the hero versus the NWO.
Okay.
I mean, they were. I liked the NWO too, but I was more of the red and black with Sting and Luger and all them guys.
Okay.
I was a big Wolfpack guy.
Yeah, see me, I was black and white just because I don't know, it was just the first one, and then I was a huge luchador guy. Chris Jericho. Well, he wasn't really a lucha, but I guess the cruiserweights. Eddie, Ray, phenomenal as always. But
yes, I was a big Billy Kidman fan.
Okay.
I had to have been the shooting star press, probably one of my favorite finishers. He was just so flawless with it.
Yeah, and then Raven's Flock, like I just got goosebumps thinking of those guys and thinking how cool they dressed with that 90s grunge, like,
right.
Just that style. Like it sounds funny to say that, being a kid thinking they look so cool with their flannels and their jean shorts and but I will say WCW was always my favorite. A little bit WWF/WWE, but I would say if I had to pick one, I would go WCW. But I mean, granted, now if you rewatch a lot of that stuff, it's kind of
Oh,
trash. So
yes. I know going back on the network watching some of those old WCW events, it's like, man, some of the stuff they were doing back then, and just I mean, even the WWF, they would flip back and forth kind of in between commercials. But I was pretty diehard WCW when I was younger.
and I do remember the Bischoff thing because I think I did switch, but I didn't see anything, so I just went back to WCW.
Right.
I'm sure there's people out there say, "Yeah, I switched and I watched it." Well, I switched, but I didn't see anything, so I was just like, "Okay, whatever," you know. So, and I do love Mankind. Don't get me wrong, I love Mick Foley, but I prefer Mankind and all the other personas. It is what it is, but.
Right.
And we'll also get into some of those gimmicks and pay-per-views, like we said, some of the crazy stuff we saw there. So besides those first experiences, were there any shows that you went to with your grandpa, or was it mostly just on TV?
No, it was mostly just on TV. I think my first live show I went to, I was probably like 12 or 13, and it was at the Deck in Duluth.
Oh, okay.
So I remember it was my buddy Bo Homer and myself. We went up there. Of course, we had to have my mom drop me off, even though she hates wrestling.
All right.
But it was awesome seeing those guys wrestle. I think I want to say it was kind of just around. I don't know if Natalia was just starting then, but it was. I remember she was. I have some pictures that I was looking through, and she was just a little baby wrestling back then.
That's crazy. Yeah, it took me almost till I was in my late 20s till I think I went to my first real like pro wrestling. I did go to a indie show with my uncle, and it had the Crusher, not the Crusher, excuse me, the Baron, the Claw.
Oh yeah,
And I remember he put that on my head, and I was all freaked out, like he was gonna squish my head, and I was just like, I don't want to come back to this because he scared me. And I remember with the Cody Rhodes show down there in Minneapolis, I actually opened the door for him and his wife, and I was telling the story about how he made me almost cry as a child, and he just laughed. To come that far, to see this man still at wrestling shows. And
well, even lately, I mean, I think the Baron was at some Heavy on Wrestling shows just a couple years ago too.
Yep, he was at, I believe, the Fortune Mania, and then he was just at an MAW show down there.
Okay.
And I think I remember hearing Cannon say that doesn't like to travel too much for it, and you have to go through his wife, if I remember right. That she is the boss of all his negotiations. Look at that great logo. I'm sorry, I just had to get that in there. I'm kind of a narcissist here, like Lex Luger, so yeah, I had to get that in there. Yeah. So, love or hate? Did you prefer WCW or did you prefer WWF, or were you one of those cool kids that liked ECW? Now, I didn't care for ECW, so
I was a big WCW guy.
Okay.
I know when I would go over to one of my uncle's houses, every now and then he would have ECW on, and it just intrigued me because of how raw it was. It was just chaos half the time. I mean, it didn't get to really watch a whole lot of it, but it was very interesting to me. But I was always pretty much weekly with WCW up until it all ended, and then we had to go over to the WWF. But
right. Is there any other personalities besides Goldberg that stuck out, besides Billy Kidman and Goldberg?
I mean, I was a big Sting guy.
Okay. Yep, me too.
Mystery and everything. It was back then. I think Eddie was still there. Guerrero. Okay. It was. I mean, the cruiserweights were probably, to me, it's one of the biggest things in wrestling that I miss. Is just a strict. That's why I like the X Division and TNA.
Okay.
It is pretty much just cruiserweights. I mean, those. It's not the big, strong, throw around everything guys. It's their fast, flying, flipping around stuff. I like that kind of wrestling.
And you definitely see something like something new that you haven't seen the week before, or they're doing some crazy spot to the outside. And I mean, I can remember all those guys, and half of them I don't even think made it on after WCW. Probably down in AAA in Mexico where they're from, but I just remember Psychosis, that mask. I thought that was so cool. Obviously, Ray, I mentioned. There was the Hawaiian type of guy. I can't think of his name now. I just remember him coming out. I'm like, he looks like a little tough SOB. I think I'm going to like that guy. And then I never really saw him again after that. And then there was La Parka.
Yep.
I loved him in the WCW games because he came out with the chair.
Mhm.
And I thought that was like the advantage of playing any N64 with him. Who else was there? Juventud Guerrero.
Yep.
Dean Malenko, phenomenal.
Yeah, he was
Doesn't get
champ
enough
for a
credit
long
in this
time.
world of being a professional wrestler for sure.
Yes.
When I met him down in Tampa, I was like intimidated by him because of his
imagine.
persona on TV, you know,
Yeah.
just I'm sure he could whoop my butt across the room in 2 seconds. So
'Cause I think didn't Jericho start as a cruiserweight?
yeah, he I believe he came up from Mexico and went to WCW, and then he was constantly pitching ideas
Yeah.
and wanted to work with the other guys, but I think they just pigeonholed him into that, you know. And then he had that crazy manager, Rufus or whatever, with the belly shirt and,
Yeah.
you know, body goals right there. For sure. All right. So what are some of your favorite memories from that time? Like, is there any like pay-per-view or
See, I didn't back when I
moments
was
that stood
younger, I
out?
didn't really get to watch a whole lot of pay-per-views.
Yeah, me neither. We were poor.
Yeah. It was always you heard about one buddy that maybe got a pay-per-view and everybody gathered at their house.
Hmm.
More like a birthday thing. I know watching back some of the old stuff now, it's really fun to watch the old Halloween Havocs. It's just
Yep.
something about them set pieces and stuff back from the early '90s. I wish people would do that again. They were just so cool and different. I mean, it's a whole different era now, and I understand that stuff's kind of expensive to do, but to me, it really adds to the like spectacle.
Hmm.
And I guess that's kind of what they do with Mania, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, I remember one pay-per-view where the Giant was, I think he debuted at Halloween Havoc or something.
I believe so.
And I just remember him being like just a monster. And I was like, oh, I hope he wins. I hope he wins. But then you had to wait till the following like night or just to see a clip of it. But
Right.
yeah, the first pay-per-view I saw was the Sting versus Hogan match,
Okay.
Starrcade.
Yep.
And I remember bringing my action figures over and playing the match before the match. And of course, you know, me being a Hogan guy, I put Hogan over. I mean, I personally don't care what things he said, and you know, I don't like to get political on here. You know, all the bull crap that he said. Yes, it is wrong, but I'm going off a character I saw on TV, which
Right.
you shouldn't support that character. Yeah, I'm going off, but you know, I loved Hogan as a kid. I think everybody did. You know,
Yeah,
eat your
everybody did. Tell me-
vitamins, say your prayers. I mean, I never said any of that, but I always thought he was the man. And then when he went NWO, I was like, he is the coolest thing ever. I had my NWO shirts and my
dyed his
Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
beard and his mustache black and white to
Yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah. You know, I heard on the Bruce Pritchard podcast that he actually had to have his like hair blurred or digitized on TV in WWF.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have to find like exactly what episode that was, but I'm like, why? Like,
Right.
why would you spend money to make this man look like he had hair? So, but little fun fact there for you.
Interesting.
Any other memories there? Sorry, I cut you off with my Hogan rant.
No, I mean, just younger, I don't remember a whole lot of wrestling. I just remember I was kind of into it. I didn't really get as hot and heavy into wrestling until probably like middle school, high school.
Okay.
Kind of when I really started getting into the WWE and following it and starting to finally branching out a couple years ago into indies and stuff. I mean, other than like the local shows in like Duluth and stuff, but
Yeah, I want to say I stopped right going into high school just because I got more into football. You know, I was more into the jerseys, because I was playing football, so I could relate more to that. But then I found my way back to it when my buddy Rick, who's actually his dad, is I think a second cousin of Bob Backlund.
okay.
So he was telling me all this stuff. I'm like, oh, so you're like uncle, cousin, you know, wrestled Bret Hart, Undertaker. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just started going over to his house randomly after I broke up with a girl and fell in love with wrestling. That kind of filled the void, and I've been obsessed ever since.
Yeah,
You've
I think
seen all the stuff I collect, my
there's
movies and
always
stuff.
that little bit where you just kind of fall off for a couple years. I think
Yeah.
I kind of did that too right after the Attitude Era,
Hmm.
and it just kind of I don't really even know how I found my way back. I think it was just one week. It's like, yeah, let's turn on Raw and see what's going on,
Yeah.
and then just kind of got sucked back in.
'Cause I think I bought a few of the wrestling games for Xbox just because they were like $3-4 at GameStop.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, I haven't watched this in a decade. And I put it in. I didn't recognize like half the people. Luckily, they had like Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and
Right.
Triple H. And I was like, who the hell is Barasta? And my buddy's like, no, it's Batista. I was like, oh, never heard of him. And then, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar. I'm like, who are these people?
I know it was kind of funny the other day. I was dug my PlayStation 2 out for some reason.
Jealous.
I was looking through in there, and I got like Here Comes the Pain and all of, like the old WWE games, and it's like looking up how much them things are worth now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I was just telling Amy that I want to get a PlayStation 2 and get all those games, but I just don't see it happening, so
Yeah, I want to say like Here Comes the Pain's going for over like $100 a copy or
that's
something.
insane.
It's nuts.
I mean, nostalgia is at an all-time high. I mean, you've seen my collection.
Oh, yeah.
Other people, I've seen theirs, and it's just like, gosh, just to get something that I had as a kid that was like $5 is now like almost $100. Like
Yeah.
the Hasbro Dusty, $60 and his arm was broke off. I'm like, come on, people! Like he's missing an arm. Like he doesn't even have the elbow. So, did you? Sorry, I lost my spot. So back to the PlayStation 2. Were you? Did you get into a lot of the gaming stuff, or was it more just sporadic adding to your collection there?
Like,
was it mostly wrestling? Was it other sports?
Oh no, I played football, so I was
Okay.
pretty much Madden, NCAA.
Okay.
I was sports, shooters. I mean, I would say a majority of my stuff was basically football games and the wrestling games.
Okay.
I mean,
That's how I kind of first discovered it.
Every year it was
video
like,
games.
gotta make sure I got the new SmackDown versus Raw or Here
Okay.
Comes the Pain or whatever it was. I was just kind of hooked into that, but it was you'd play that for a while, and then the new football games would come out, and it just dumped a bunch of time into that.
What's sad with both of those genres is they're pretty much the same every year, and you don't get anything really special anymore.
Yeah, no, it's the last. Well, I couldn't tell you the last time I bought a WWE game. I just feel like they're so buggy lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think was it like 2K13 or something was like one of the last ones I think I got. It's been a long time.
I think the last one I bought had Rollins on the cover, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I play the Supercard. I love the Supercard game because it's just, as I call it, a toilet game that 20 minutes to kill. I love it. I've been playing it for 4 years. And every time I get to like the top tier, they drop 2 more. So then I get mad. And it's like, well, now I got to get my deck back to the top. So,
right.
But yeah, wrestling games were pretty much the first thing that made me discover wrestling as well as action figures. Now, were you an action figure guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a couple. I was cleaning out something the other day, and I found a blister pack, and there's I think it's Conan, and I think Conan and Raven, I think. And they got like magnetic hands so they could like grip onto chairs and stuff.
Oh, wow.
They're very old.
Okay.
They're old WCW stuff.
You'll have to send me pictures of those later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my like the childhood friend, he had like a whole box. People can go back and listen to that, but I was just like, there are so many of these. And I just thought they were like made up characters that this company put out. And then he's like, no, it's like real on TV. And I was like, really? Like these people are real?
Yeah, some of the gimmicks and names and stuff are just goofy nowadays.
Some of my favorite action figures I think I had were the WCW ones. I don't think anyone on this planet would say that but me. But
right.
I just thought they were so cool. Looking back at them now, the what's the word I want to say? Like the aesthetics maybe is the word I'm looking for. But oh my God, they're just bad. Lex Luger doesn't even look like him. Nash, Giant, they just look horrible, but I still want them.
Came out of the N64.
Yeah. Yeah, they're so bad. But I had like a lot of them. I thought they were the coolest thing, and I remember getting the Sting, who was the Nasty Boys. I got the ring. I was so excited because it was a WCW ring,
Right.
not just this one I found at a garage sale that had WWF on it. And yeah, they're such trash, but I really want them because those were the toys I played with,
I had an old, I want to say I think it was a WCW ring too, but I remember I snapped one of the posts off. So I had to try and figure out a way to like super glue it and zip tie it down so I could still play with it.
Right. And my Federation was just like, and I call it my Federation because it sounds cooler than just my toys. But I mean, I had GI Joes, I had American Gladiators, I had X-Men, all kinds of characters in there, and just I would love just to go back online and just rebuy all those.
Right.
But I do remember that now that we were talking about action figures, and you like Goldberg. I remember when that one came out with all the movable arms and the legs and the joints. And my buddy got that one. I was like, damn, that is a nice figure compared to, my Lex Luger that could only do the muscle pose and vibrate. The worst toys ever, but I want them.
One thing I'm kicking myself in the butt for was I used to, not wrestling related, but action figure wise, I used to have the original full set of all the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, man.
And I think it was probably, I even had like the Megazord and everything. I think I sold it in middle school for like nothing. And I can only imagine what them things would be worth nowadays. If I
Oh, yeah. I'm right there with you, Power Rangers.
Yep.
Gotta ask you, what's your favorite?
Oh, I was a big Green Ranger.
Okay. That's the respect. Okay. If you would have said red, I'd be like, move along.
No.
I like Billy. I just got the, can't really see it here. The, Power Rangers right there. Blue Ranger for life, bro. Ninja Turtles. I'm sure you probably had some of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I was a huge Ninja Turtle fan. So I'm sure, just thinking about it now, all those crazy things I had made no sense working together, but just a box of action figures.
I know that's kind of how I felt too. A box of action figures and a bunch of just different G.I. Joe stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Did you ever have the G.I. Joe Extreme?
I don't think so.
They were kind of they didn't move. They were like a harder plastic, and they just had a pose. Like one of them was like named
little kids would pretty much stick like firecrackers in and blow up.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of them had like an HBK like stance. The other, his arms moved. That was about it. One guy was this skull guy. I thought he was really cool, and him and I'm trying to think. It was a He-Man figure. It was a blue guy. I just remember he had his squishy head and was blue and had fins, and he was always my champion because he was one of my favorite action figures. So sorry, Bret Hart, but you lost to that guy. So all right. Any other wrestling memories that you can remember?
Not from when I was younger. I mean, kind of one of the more, I shouldn't say recent ones. I was younger yet, but we were down in Green Bay for, I think we went and saw SmackDown. And one of the hotels we stayed in, there was I can't remember exactly who was there because I had a Degeneration X book that I had, and I ran into the wrestlers there and I had them sign it, but I can't find it to remember who it was. I want to say it was Shad and JTG.
Oh, okay.
But I just can't remember off the top of my head who it was. But it was just cool to run out and run into them in public, like not be one of the people that were just like searching for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was just walking through the hall and it's like, oh, hey.
Right.
Some little kid walking through the hallway and it's like, oh, wrestlers. And then you got the parents with you and they're like, who is that? Why are you going to talk to them?
Yeah. Stay away from that stranger who's 6 foot tall and can steal you in 10 seconds.
Right.
Well, we have to talk about, when we met at wrestling, obviously wrestling brought you and I together. I feel like we chat every day. I send you pictures of my collections and autographs that I find. Mostly Otis. I'm not obsessed. It's just a hobby. But that's one thing I like about wrestling is it brings people together, and eventually, your significant other, I'd like to bring her on with you just so we can get her side of wrestling as well as, the memories that you guys have created. I almost put on the board today that picture of you and her dressed up for Halloween. And I might save that because I don't want to give any spoilers
Right?
to the next time you guys are on, brother. But I was showing that to my girlfriend, and I was like, "That's goals right there," and she's
Right?
like,
Best
"No,
part of that was it was all her idea.
that's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing." How many days till you guys get married?
Like 78 or something like that, I
Okay,
think. We're
okay.
just finally, well, I went to go bring in all the invitations today, and I found out we needed more postage, so now we gotta add more stuff on it tonight. So
Never ends.
no.
Never ends, I bet. One day I'll get there. I keep telling Amy 5 to 6 years, maybe she behaves. So
That's what it took for us. So
she was looking at getting ring size, and the lady's like, "Well, she's 11, so what would you like to look at anything?" I was like, "No, we got 5 or 6 years if she's good." And then I just kind of walked away, so.
right.
And she'll probably watch this, so Amy, I do love you, so just let's go with it. So, all right. I know I keep bringing up wrestling memories, but is there a moment that you got so sucked in that you lost your mind?
And this is gonna sound dumb. I don't remember what Mania it was, but the New Day came out and they had a bunch of little people come out in like pancake costumes.
Okay.
And one of them was doing the worm. It was like the funniest thing to me. I don't know what it was, but I lost it. I was crying, laughing so hard. It was just like so ridiculous and funny. I mean, the New Day's one of the best things that WWE has going, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a shame that
terrible what
one of them
happened
keeps
with
getting
Big
hurt
E,
in between, but yeah,
but
definitely. Yeah. Sorry.
no.
I mean,
Yeah,
who can come out and get pancakes over?
right,
Trombone,
right.
unicorns, like, and everybody thought they were going to break up within a matter of months. And what are we going on almost 7+ years of them?
Yeah, but if you remember the very first run of that, when they were originally like a church group or something,
Mm-hmm.
that did fail. But I think somebody got hurt or something, and then they did bring them back a couple months later as the group, but then they switched something with it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I started to hate on him, and Bob usually said, Bob.
Yep.
He always said, as soon as I start to hate on someone, I just start to love them. The system, little Nate. Like these guys are stupid. And then next thing you know,
Right.
who's buying their merch? This guy.
Right.
So
Yeah, there's only one guy. I don't know what it is. I can't stand Bobby Lashley.
oh really?
I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's because they push him so much, and to me, it's like he does the same. Like he's kind of like Cena. He's got like the 6 moves of doom. Just does the same stuff. I don't know what it is about Lashley, but I just not a big fan.
I always see him as like the underdog that just doesn't get the bone enough. That's just me. I guess I liked him back when he was that ECW champ. Like, all
See
right,
that?
he's the big guy getting to
Right.
the mountain. But yeah,
Yeah, that was one of. I think I did like him back then. It was kind of a thing, but lately, I don't. It's just I don't know if it was since he kind of left to be an MMA guy and then came back.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I shouldn't say it something like that because I'm happy Punk's back. I know you're not a big fan of Punk.
Nope. That's definitely one that just I don't know. I just feel like he's just yeah. I don't want to say bad things because one day I'll meet him and then probably like him, but I don't know. There's something about him just he's got the punchable face. Not that I would punch someone, but that's the best way I can say like
Right.
yeah, just nope, not a fan. And I usually like pretty much every wrestler, and that's like one of like a few that absolutely just nope,
Yeah.
pass.
Don't have nothing you want to do with them.
I'd probably still meet him just to see if it's a little different. But I don't know. I'd rather just sneak up and get a quick talking than pay $60 for a photo.
Right.
So, but alrighty. I guess we can jump into the little Q&A. I mean, this is kind of a Q&A, but these are more questions that are just random, which you already have the list, but they are fun to answer. All right. All right, first question here is Steel Cage or Hell in a Cell? Which one would you prefer?
Original Hell in a Cell.
Okay.
Back in the Attitude Era days. Today, to me, it's nothing special anymore. I don't know what they did with it, but they like killed it off to me.
Kind of like the Money in the Bank. I think they just, instead of having it special, now it's its own pay-per-view. I could see that being a
Right.
thing.
I think that's a big part of it. Like back when I was a kid, there was just something so special about you didn't see Hell in a Cell unless the feud was so heated that they had to have that cell with a
Mhm.
bunch of weapons in it to settle it.
The final blow-off, yep.
Yes. And I
Like it
think
was,
a big part of it was watching Foley get slammed off of it through it. And it's just like, it was amazing back then. And now
Mhm.
I think it is just the pay per view. Like it's not a special thing anymore, which I'm happy this year they did only do, I think, one cell match,
Yep.
didn't they? So at least, I mean, yeah, it was a Hell in a Cell pay per view, but they only had one match this year.
Yeah, and that match, like just Seth coming out in the polka dots.
Yeah.
That's great heel shit. Like I don't want to swear too much on this because
Not
where
only
my
that,
location is, but
Cody with that arm was
oh,
just. I remember talking to Kaylee, and she went to bed, and I'm like, you should have stayed up because watching him do what he did was special.
and then
That's
all the people out there, oh, it's fake, it's makeup. No,
no.
no. The one time it's
If
not
you've ever
makeup.
seen a picture of somebody that's torn a muscle like that, you know it's real.
Yeah.
And especially how much he was favoring that, it was just nuts.
Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps. Just ugh.
Yeah.
Imagine having that much pain and having to go out there for 20 minutes and flop around,
Yeah.
or as we like to call it, take bumps. Like
right, and getting slammed off of the post and stuff with that arm. Oh, I couldn't even imagine.
and those kendo sticks, you can just tap it and that shit hurts. Oh, there, I keep doing it again. Whoops.
Right.
I just don't want to swear because of the location I filmed. So, but I mean, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, that first one.
Yeah.
Wow. And then Kane appearing at that.
That
Was the first one. First women's match was between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. That was a banger. And she's been in it 3 times. The most woman in there is Sasha. Kind of sucks that she left. I still don't see why, but it's a whole other.
A report that I read the other day that they're trying to bring her back in now.
They're trying to bring her back in?
Yes, and I guess they added her back to the active roster on the website now.
Okay.
So I'm guessing she never fully left, but there's something going on there.
Yeah, and I know she's had some stuff in the past, but with that stuff, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, people listening or anybody else. I feel like we live in a copy-paste news world where I get it off Twitter and then I throw it on here. And that's why, a big thing is I don't want to do any of that stuff on here. It's more just bull crap,
right.
BSing with my friends, because I don't know what's true half the time.
Well, right.
And everything's
you don't know what's being put out there. I mean, what's true, what's not. I mean, you see some of the stuff that gets tweeted out by these reporters and the wrestlers come back and just, no, that's not what happened. So,
yeah.
All that you got to take with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and the news just gets out there so fast that
right.
Like nothing's correct, and then they don't apologize for the wrong thing. They just move on to the next article, and
right.
That's kind of why I always say in like the mission statement, a drama-free pro wrestling platform that I want to create, because it's not about
it's here to be fun. It's not. I mean, it's technically it's supposed to be like what I want is like a grown-up soap opera.
Yep.
But you don't take it in anything. I mean, you can take it seriously because they do. I mean, it is real.
Yep.
But I mean, there's some storylines that are just a little overboard.
Yes. See, I enjoy more of the wrestling in the ring, and I can just deal with a crappy storyline here and there.
That's why I started to give up on WWE a little bit, because it was just so much stories and not wrestling, and so many of the same matches over and over and over. I mean, I still watch all the pay-per-views, but to get me to watch a Raw or SmackDown now, it's got to be something that I really
Yeah, I mean, I'm running, a wrestling-themed video thing here, and, I don't watch it religiously like I used to, but I like to keep up, usually building up to the pay-per-view,
Right.
to kind of see what they're doing. But like you said, the repeating of matches, they could go away with a little bit. I
Well,
feel like you can still do what you want to do with these two people. They don't even have to touch.
right.
Like you can get the Miz and say Drew McIntyre out there, and they can talk for 2 weeks, not do anything, and then you can showcase somebody else
Right.
to get the wrestling TV time,
Right.
and
Well,
then
especially
go
when we
back
got
to
8 hours of TV a week almost.
Yeah. I agree there. Obviously, when you do your pay-per-views, you want to have your names on the card to sell that pay-per-view, but every Raw, they don't have to have a match. You can just do something backstage where they're yelling at each other, or
Right.
the heel doing heel things to build to that pay-per-view match.
Right.
Like I agree with you there. And it's just so hard, I guess, because with the pandemic, things are opening up. But then it seems like the last few months, the wrestling biz has had a little bit of a black cloud over it with injuries and legal issues and all that.
Just the last month, there's been so many injuries and stuff.
Mhm.
It's been crazy. And then even I think Santana got hurt in the blood and guts match yesterday, right?
I just read that. Yep.
And it's like, I mean, they both have a lot of talent,
Mhm.
both companies, but the amount of injuries that have been happening lately is crazy.
It's definitely been a kind of a weird few months because we were at such a peak, and
Right.
now we're starting to go a little bit south there. So then I don't want to get into the Vince stuff till that's all cleared out, because that's another copy and paste marketplace. But
Right.
what I do like though about my internet friends is how they just so quick to crap all over anything. One thing I've enjoyed was watching Mad Cat Moss go from what he is to keep moving. It's just like they don't invest in the storyline. They rather just crap on and say, oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Well, let it evolve. Let it get to the place it has to get before we criticize it.
Right.
And once the final match is done, then we can look back at that whole story and say, oh, that was crap.
Right.
But you're seeing a development from a guy who was telling horrible jokes to who's getting more serious.
Right.
And then my favorite thing that I just absolutely hate in the wrestling business, there it goes, is the term buried, or they're not pushing this guy, or they're pushing this guy too much. But as soon as they start pushing someone else, it's it's the end of the world for that person that's champion.
Why are they pushing him? Right. Not this person.
Yeah. And then they invest in, say a Sasha, and they're like, well, she's always on TV, and she beat Asuka. Well, now Asuka's buried. She just lost a title match. How is she buried? Like,
right.
Your argument's invalid.
Right. I will say one person that I do wish they would push a little bit more is Sami Zayn. Sami
Zayn?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's his time.
Yes.
He's done the grunt work. He's done the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be for long. It could be that in-between one just to showcase he can do it. I agree. Totally agree.
It kind of sucks that did Owens get hurt? I thought I read somewhere that Owens got hurt, and that's why they postponed that match Monday.
That one I haven't seen, but then again, it's there's so much out there with the Logan Paul signing.
Right.
That's a whole nother bag of worms right there, but it brings in viewers. Toxic trash, but brings in viewers,
I mean, if they build him up right, he could be another Miz.
Mm-hmm.
But they really need to build him up right, because there are a lot of people that do not like him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember my buddy and I got into a conversation how like Asuka's streak was ruined, and I was like, well, yes, maybe she should have beat Charlotte, but at the same time, you're trying to make your most dominant female look good by beating someone who's on a streak.
Right.
And not saying she was injured at this time, but like if you look at a lot of the ones that, get pushed to the side, and I'll use Bray, Braun, and a few other ones, these guys are on the shelf a lot.
Right.
And then the things they do mean nothing because they're constantly not in the storyline. It's like, well, if they were healthy, they'd be out there.
Right. It would have been a whole completely.
And then look at these people once they leave, You know, like Bret Hart, Braun. Now Bray's doing something else, but there's a few other ones out there that they have released that haven't done much of anything. And it's just like
Right.
you were ponying for these people once they got released,
And
but
now-
they're not doing anything out there that's memorable.
Right.
Braun's hitting softballs. I saw that on
Right.
TikTok.
No,
Dude's
he's
a
got your
beast, but
control your narrative thing, but I haven't gotten to watch any of those yet.
yeah. And from what I've heard, it's been bad. So, I mean, you know, we all hate Vince for many, many reasons, but one thing he does is make stars, regardless of where they come from
Right.
or what they are. And when, you know, the no blow schmo gets a title shot and loses, internet, oh, he's buried, he lost, he should have been champion. Well, he was just in a title match. You just saw him being more exposed.
Right.
You know, he got that opportunity to showcase what he could do.
Right. Well, that's like even 2 or 3 years ago now. Who would have thought that Otis would have won the Money in the Bank that year?
Exactly.
I think you and me were both just shocked that he.
Yeah, I lost my mind. I'm a total Otis mark through and through.
Right.
I may have screamed really loud. Roommates were freaking out, like, "What's happening?"
Right. I think that
Nope.
happened
Yep.
here too, because there was a bunch. There's probably like 3 or 4 of us that normally get together that watch him at my house,
Mhm.
but just knowing a local boy got some big push there.
Yeah. And even that he didn't cash in, I mean, yeah, that kind of sucked. I was mad. I love The Miz.
Right.
I love The Miz. I always have. But, you know, now looking at it, it's like, okay, well, he had kind of a title run for those few weeks,
Right.
you know. But it would have been nice if he could have been like an in-between champion just for that short flip, you know, from, say, Braun to Dolph or something. But
Right.
that's another thing is people just complain about how he had it, but yet it was a new person getting it. You know, it was like,
Right.
that's a stupid choice. Why would they go that when they have Drew and they have AJ and the other?
Because
It's like,
you
hey,
don't
you
need
want
those big
new
names
people
have
to
the
win,
cake.
but then you don't want them to win.
Right.
It's like we're the worst fans ever, you
Oh.
know.
The wrestling community can be very toxic.
Mhm.
It can be, yes.
And I try to just wait for the story to develop to see where it goes. Like I don't just watch the one episode and think, oh, well, this is trash of a TV show.
Right.
I'm not going to watch it. Well, no, I want to see what's happening to the characters to see if it progresses.
Right.
And I'm sure there's people out there that binge watch multiple shows and say, oh, well, you know, the first season's a little slow, but then it really takes off. Well, that's just like a wrestling storyline. You have to
Exactly.
wait for that
To build.
to build. Like
Yeah.
they're not going to take wrestler A and just throw him out there to win title. Like they've done that, but
Right.
they're not going to have him win the title. And you're just like, well, who the hell's this guy?
Right.
Oh, well, now we have to go back and tell you everything. No, we want you to take the story to how he won it.
Right.
This isn't a movie where they say like, I wonder how I got here. Let me show you, and then we go back. But
I will
no,
say
this is
one of the only people that I think that they've done that with that's kind of been a successful thing was Paige.
yep.
When she
But I
come-
think she had a following too, didn't she? Before
Well,
she
in
went up.
NXT, yes, but if you didn't watch NXT and she came up that first week, you had no idea who she was when she
Yeah.
won the title.
Yeah, I had no clue who she was.
Yeah.
And now she's leaving, and everybody's like, they didn't use her. Well, she's a liability because of her neck. Like,
Right.
Vince is going to protect his. Well, right now he's not really protecting it, but he's going to protect his assets, you know.
Right.
And I brought this up on 13 Cards was, you know, with the independent scene, minus one promotion, they all use the same people.
Right.
Right? So you have, say, your champion goes to 4 other promotions, and he's losing to people that won't even get on other shows, or, you know, and you want to protect that, you know, and you want to make sure they're credible because, like, if I'm having a champion, if you're my champion, I'm just going to say, hey, man, like, if you're going to do these other shows, I want you to look strong. I don't want you to lose because you're representing my company.
Right. Well,
Like if you're going to lose to, no offense to this guy, I'm just using an example, the possum guy that I just saw on a poster, and you're my champion, like that just kind of makes me feel like I'm losing credibility
right.
for my promotion.
One
Because
team
you're
right
losing to
now
a
that
possum.
is a great representative of that is FTR.
Yeah.
They are just racking up tag team titles all over the place. They don't lose to anybody. It's amazing how they've flipped from heels to baby faces. And it's that match at Forbidden Door this last weekend was amazing.
I gotta go back and watch some stuff. I don't watch AEW too much because I don't have access to it. I'm a streamer. If they had it on the streaming service, I'd probably watch it. I know you and Chad have given me your guys' login so I can watch a few times, but I just, it's not my cup of tea because I feel like it's something different than I watch, which I'm sure I would get into it if I could watch it weekly. But right now, I just watch Top Flight, great T-shirt, but it just, back to that independent thing. It's just like, so many of the same people everywhere. And, what sets you apart,
Right.
If it's my champion, I'm going to just tell him, like, I'll pay you more not to go work there.
Right.
Because I don't want you
don't want to tarnish it.
I don't want you looking weak. Because if I bring in somebody, like, I want you to dominate them,
right.
Because you are my champion.
Right.
Like, when they sent Flair to all these promotions, it was always a draw. Always an outward draw because that was the thing back in the day.
Right.
Like, we both love Joey, and he's got various, title reigns and other promotions. But then when he goes to, like, something smaller, it's just like, who's this guy beating him?
Right.
No offense to some of those wrestlers out there, but if my champion's out there, I want him to be champ everywhere.
Right.
And sometimes you got to kind of protect what you create.
Right. That's why Corbin's got to go win everywhere now. Probably the only two people that will actually go to a show and cheer him on, you and me.
And it's just, I love a lot of independent wrestlers, don't get me wrong, but I just like to think I know a thing or two, kind of like when I send out my questionnaire, like there's some stuff in there that's just like, hey, these are some of the standards that I want because I want this to look legit,
Right.
Granted,
a good product. Respect.
Our interviews are just kind of off the wall and having fun talking wrestling, but at the end of the day, like, I don't want somebody on here that's, I can't see in the camera or too busy smoking a cigarette and I can't understand anything they're saying or drinking a beer, because I'm not trying to purport that, where I record and stuff, but this is my business in a sense, and I want it to look professional.
Right.
And there's promoters out there that do it, and some just anybody they can get.
Right.
And I don't want to throw promotions under the bus because I like going to professional wrestling, regardless what it looks like, but I have a different standard, And the other thing that kind of bugs me with independent wrestling that I've noticed lately is the fantasy booker where I want to have a all-out match where you got weapons all over the ring. It's like you have these people's livelihoods in your hand.
Well, it's like
don't be making them go up on a ladder or a cage when they're only getting $20 and gas. Like, if you want that person to come back, like, don't put them in these horrible situations where they could risk injury and their career because you want to see people beat the crap out of each other with frying pans and thumbtacks. Like, I'm sure they get paid more. I don't know the whole behind the scenes thing, but
it's kind of like GCW. They're big for their death matches and stuff, but they do try and do it in as safe as manner as they can.
Yep. And with that though, like that's their niche. You know what I mean? When people go to work there, they know what they're getting.
Right.
But if it's a guy like Paul Verk, and they want him to do like a scalpel match at some high school with 30 people.
Right.
If I was that guy, I'd be like, hell no. Like, there's 30 people here. The payoff ain't worth it.
Right.
Like, put me in a normal match. Get some other green guy to be out here and do it. That ain't me.
Right.
And we're way off topic, but I don't care. This is going great. I love it. Questions are just generating for this type of thing. But Same with I brought it up on 13 Cards. Like, you got the guy out there wrestling, and I could see his Home Depot boxers. Invest in your craft, you know.
Right.
Like, no offense to that guy, like, he's getting out there, he's doing something that I could never do, but it's just invest in your craft. I feel, you know,
Right.
like, I'm not trying to throw shade. Like again, you're doing something that I couldn't do physically. You're out there pursuing your dream, but it's just an example I use. Like, I don't even know the guy's name. I just remember that instance from the match, you know, and it's just like, it sticks in the back of my mind now. Like,
Right.
you're a professional wrestler and you're wearing Home Depot boxers. Again, no shade if you're
Right.
listening or if you ever listen. Because I'm sure someone will cut that up and send it to that person because, you know, I guess I have heat in the wrestling business. I'm cool. I'm officially Flair. Woo,
Right.
you know, whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I guess I just like more of the appearance side of things.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if that was on national television, Vince would be on that person's ass like, what are you doing?
Right.
Get some black things or tape that up and make it look good.
Right.
You know, because if you ran a business, you're not going to have a rusty truck out on the highway to promote your business. You're going to have a brand new Dodge out there. You may be the best mechanic with that rusty ass truck, but
Right.
no one's going to call you because look at the truck.
Right.
You know, so that's my 2 cents on the wrestling world. We should just start a promotion. I got a building we can use.
Right.
I know some people we can call. You know some people. We can make it legit. We're definitely the body guys here.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Alrighty, let's just get back on track here. I think we're just, you know, that way we can pretend like we know what we're doing here and then get you out of here. All right, we'll jump into favorite pay-per-views.
I know I talked about it, but honestly, Forbidden Door this past weekend was amazing. Just some of the matches on there and having bringing in the New Japan guys. I mean, a lot of people I know don't know who they are, but for somebody like me that has followed kind of like these indie promotions and stuff, seeing them mesh with like the AEW guys, which a lot of the matches were like continuation of when the AEW guys were in New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Young Bucks being back in Bullet Club for the one day or this last weekend. It was just fun to see some of the old campy Bullet Club stuff that they used to do. I don't know. It was just there. I'm just trying to think. There were so many matches on there that it was really cool to see Okada wrestle. Like my one buddy Bo, he's never really seen none of the New Japan guys, but to see some of the Japanese guys wrestling, he was just like blown away by them. I'm like, this is what I told you. Like, this is why I follow all this indie stuff.
And with the indie guys, like we've been watching Top Flight since they started. It's great to see people just go from, you know, bars, high schools to TV. You know, just to see Dante mixing it up with Mox was pretty sweet.
Right.
You know, just that exposure. And like, I love both of them to death. But I will say Dante has flourished, whatever the fancy word is there, since Darius has been kind of sidelined, where before I felt like he was kind of in his shadow and now he's stepped out.
Right.
And now both are just proven phenomenal athletes.
That's why I can't wait till they get back and are fully healthy. I'm really hoping that they're one tag team that they push for a title run, because I know they are both very young yet, but they have the talent, and I feel like they're so respected by so many of those guys already for what they've done that they could handle that push.
Yeah, definitely they would not be getting the matches that Dante gets because he's just what he is, you know.
Right.
Like, as soon as they came in, like, everybody was saying they wanted to work with him. You know, Jericho worked with him.
Right.
Young Bucks. MJF. I mean, Dante has proven himself worthy of more than he's given. But, hey, like you said, he's young. Make him work for it. That's the only way he's going to get into the, you know, the fans' mind, you know. Like, obviously people know who he is, but the fact that he's still grinding, that's going to make anybody cheer for him.
Right.
You know, everybody loves an underdog. I know I do. Every time there's a Super Bowl or a playoff game, I want the team that's not supposed to win.
Right.
When you're Texans, not to bring it up, we're battling the Chiefs. I was like, this is amazing.
Right.
They're knocking off Mahomes, and then
Yeah, third quarter
I know
happened.
that's probably a sweaty moment, cold sweats and night sweats for you, but
Oh, yeah.
I was excited because it's like Houston Texans haven't got there. This is their time, and then
That's why I'm a big Danhausen and Orange Cassidy guy, because
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. I shouldn't say Orange Cassidy is not that much of an underdog anymore, but when he first came in, he really was.
And I like to stick. I just, I wish you would do more wrestling, but that's a different style of wrestling. Everybody's own cup of tea, but I do get a kick out of him when he just does the slap or the kick, and I'm just like, oh my! Especially when he wrestled Darren Corbin, who we love on this little video series we have here. Just watching Darren react to that was just amazing. Darren sold it better than anyone ever could have. But yeah, I do enjoy Orange Cassidy here and there, and Danhausen. Don't know much about him. Just slowly, figuring that guy out. So
yeah,
but don't swear. He doesn't like that.
No.
I think that's something you or somebody sent me of. What was it? Warhorse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was swearing and he just lost his mind. So, some of my favorite pay-per-views are like the gimmick ones, like the Money in the Bank, the TLCs. Hell in a Cell, not so much. We didn't really cover that. We just kind of went on a tangent. But Money in the Bank, I always thought was great because then you get to see what the next batch of storylines would come out of there. Because say person A knocks person B off the ladder, then that sets up a feud for later.
Right.
And then the person that wins it will jump up to that title picture and stuff. So
I know I've one pay-per-view that kind of, I don't really remember all the matches from it, but I was at Elimination Chamber when they were in Minneapolis in 2014.
Yep.
As I say, I think you were there too, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. And when they the Shield walked in right by us.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I was like maybe 2 or 3 people away from the aisle. So it was really cool to be like close to them guys and stuff, just to like be at that pay-per-view. And to me, I like watching Elimination Chamber on TV. It's like, man, that thing's huge.
Yeah.
And then you see it in person and you're like, wow, that's not that big.
Yeah. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we went to that one. And you know how the Target Center is, they got that ring around where before it goes to the floor. And we get to our seats. And this lady and her son comes up and she's like, you're in our seats. And we're like, no, we're not, because we asked somebody.
Right.
And the security guard below is like, what seems to be the problem? Like, 2 big bearded guys arguing with a woman. And she's like, oh, no, we're just trying to figure out our seats. And he's like, let me see it. Well, me and Bob were in the wrong seats because apparently asking the other guy who was wrong, we're going to blame him. Right. We actually got moved further into the floor seats, and they were the bleachers that they had there, and we were the first row of the bleachers before the seats.
Okay.
And Bob and I lost our mind. We're like, are you kidding me? Like, we thought we had the good seats. Now we have the great seats.
Right.
And on that pay-per-view, I'm going to put in a selfless plug that I got my Uso sign on the pay-per-view. Goal of mine now is to get my whole beautiful face on there. My signs were up and down through all the matches. By I think halfway through, they told me to stop because I was blocking people's view. But it's kind of hard to do that when you're standing on the floor and your sign doesn't even reach the person standing behind you. So
right. I know that's how I was.
Yeah.
AEW when we went down in Milwaukee last year, and I had that CM Punk sign that was basically on TV the whole time he was in the ring. It was kind of cool.
I'm jealous, even though it was a CM Punk sign.
Hey, I did get the Corbin sign on there a couple times.
Yep. You one up me there to our sponsor again. Just plug in the cheap plugs here. Darren Corbin, Superior Creations. Check him out on Facebook. I like doing that. It's easy, but
right.
Yeah, I am jealous because when we went to the AEW one, I forgot signs, and the girlfriend went to 3 shows in 3 days, and I want to show her the whole package of me. You already got yours on lockdown. Mine's waiting 5 to 6 years.
Right.
But I mean, she was a trooper. 3 shows in 3 days. Another pay-per-view I liked all the time was Bash at the Beach. They never did anything on a beach, but I just remember loving that one and playing it in the sandbox all the time. Full disclosure, you might think I'm weird here, but we used to take Cool Whip bowls with water, and then put in food coloring, so it was an acid bath.
No, I'm
Hey, I
guessing you're
thought it was the
talking
coolest thing ever.
the Bash at the Beach, like the old ones, right? Not the
Yep.
NXT ones.
Yeah, the ones from like WCW, that had the sand all around the surfboard sticking out.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites. So, alrighty. Any other favorite pay-per-views?
I mean, none that really stand out. There's probably so many. I mean, I could go back and look through some stuff. I will say one of the ones that I did like was the original ECW One Night Stand when they did it back in the Hammerstein Ballroom. When
Oh yeah, that is a beautiful venue. Yes.
That was fun to see all the ECW originals come back and get that actual like big TV push one last time.
Yeah, that would have been a nice promotion. That would have been great to stick around a little longer than it did.
Right.
They definitely had a lot of talent. I mean, some of the people on that roster, gimmicks and athleticism, way better than WWE. I'll admit it. Like Taz. I mean, who's more intimidating than Taz in the wrestling business? RVD, a new style. It wasn't necessarily high flying. It was just something different. And I like RVD. I mean, I met him. Super cool. Met his fiance/wife, whatever she is. And I was mad because my buddy stood next to her because I wanted to stand next to her. So then I yelled at him after the photo because I paid for it. I'm not mad, Brian. If you're listening to this, you're such a dick. Yeah. So Katie Forbes, how you doing? Amy, I'm sorry. Okay.
As I said, it's been so long since I got to meet like wrestlers. I haven't been able to go to any shows lately. I want to say the last one that I got any pictures with was the very last Heavy on Wrestling show when I think it's Elena Black. She's now Cora Jade was there.
Was that the Valentine's Day one?
I think that's what it was. It was
okay.
It was the last one that was in the not the Clyde, but the new one now.
The Malt Brewing or the other one there? Yeah, I don't like that one so much. I like the other venue.
Yeah, with the posts and everything in there, it was just too tight in my opinion.
And he could honestly do more, but hey, that's just me nitpicking, what I think I know. But
I think the Boogeyman was at that show, wasn't he?
Oh, dude, he freaked me out.
Yeah.
He like screamed at a little kid and I got scared and then the kid cried. I was like, that is my emotion right there.
Right. That's how I felt how when Lance yelled at me at one show.
Dude, Lance Archer.
He's terrifying, but he is one of the nicest freaking guys.
Yeah, I don't care what you say. You're a liar. He scares the crap out of me. And the goosebumps are back. He's yelled at me at every show. And I remember the one with Lita Hacksaw and stuff at the deck there. And he's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, I'm going to the bathroom. He's like, "Well, get back for the main event because I'm in it." I was like, I'll be back. And then we left because we were leaving, but I'm pretty sure I peed before I got to the bathroom. And then he yelled at me at another one, and I was sitting front row, and the kid was crying, and I was like, "Oh, this man is just pure evil."
That's
why I bought his action figure. I was like, you make me feel a certain way about myself, and I don't like it.
He's come a long way since what were they, the Kings of Underground back then, I think?
Okay, yep. What's that?
Was he a part of that group with the Kings Underground back in HOW?
Oh, he could be. I thought you were talking about my little VIP 3 thing that me and Rick and all them did. Yes, I had my own fan club. I have my face on a t-shirt. I'm famous. But we're going to start a new group, Robert. We're going to start a new one because we're going to start going to shows after you're married, and then I can drain these 5 to 6 years before I marry Amy. So take care of the wedding first. One other pay-per-view that stands out for me, not because it's the whole pay-per-view, but was the match between Daniel Bryan and Cena, SummerSlam.
Okay.
This is my moment where I was just pissed off at the wrestling business. Bryan beats Cena. I'm ecstatic. The yes movement. I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fan, probably why I started growing the beard out. Okay. Not because of the Wyatts. I love the Wyatts too, but then Orton comes out and like cashes in, and I just remember after that pay-per-view just sulking. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Like, I'm mad. Like, I was legit mad at the TV, and Bob's like, are you really pissed? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's stupid.
right?
Orton doesn't need, and I love Orton too. It's like he doesn't need it right now. Like this is
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan's time. He's like, it'll be okay. It'll
That's
be
how
okay.
I
I'm like,
was that
no.
one year during the Rumble when everybody thought that Bryan was going to come out, and it was
Yep.
Batista, and he
Yep.
won it. And I was just ticked.
Mm-hmm. That was a great
Oh,
arc. And then for him to win it at WrestleMania 30,
right?
I always rewatch that Triple H Daniel Bryan one. I like that one more than the main event, but man, that was such Daniel Bryan, definitely one of my favorites of all time.
Yes.
Worker on the mic, and then that promo with him and the Miz. Man, I felt bad for him that day. Miz just laying into him. Thing of beauty. All right, we'll move on here to keep this going so we can get you out of here. We're going to jump into, let's see, the Mount Rushmore of female wrestling. Now, this doesn't have to be box office sales. This doesn't have to be who changed the business. This is just your favorite 4 women of wrestling. And I'm sorry to our significant others. This isn't meant to be inappropriate. This is just guys talking about women's wrestling.
I had a real hard time with this one. I debated on so many different people.
I wrote some honorable mentions because I'm sure the internet will just crap on every pick that I made. So
yeah, well, mine that I finally decided on were Trish Stratus, Lita, Natalya, and Chyna.
Okay.
But one of my honorable mentions that I really debated on is Jordynne Grace.
Oh, Jesse, if you're listening, she's mine. Sorry, Amy. I love Jordynne Grace. I met her at First Wrestling, and she stuck up for me when Priscilla Kelly, a.k.a. Gigi, tried to kill me. So she's definitely a certified 10. I know Jesse's probably drooling over that cake photo. Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
Oh, my God. I never saw it, Amy. But, Priscilla Kelly, beautiful woman, not trying to be disrespectful at all. I would buy female autographs for my friend Cassie, who's married to Chad now, and I'd send them to her. And I was just like looking through the book, and it's all boudoir, or however you say the word, and lingerie shoots. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sending this to my female friend. So I asked, I was like, do you have any that aren't so risque? And she lost it. And
Really?
I didn't word it correctly, so I have the right to get yelled at. And she's like, what do you mean? They're all appropriate. I'm like, I know, but I'm trying to send it to my female friend, and I don't want to come off as a creeper. It's 2022. I'm not that kind of guy. And she's like, well, all my photos are great. And then Jordynne Grace is like, honey, he's just trying to be respectful. And I was so embarrassed, so confused what to do. I was by myself at the booth. Usually Bob's behind me or someone else is with me. And she's yelling at me. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. Do you have any in gear? She's like, right here. I was like, that one, please.
Right.
Thank you. And then Jordynne Grace is like, just relax. He just wanted a nice photo. They're all nice. I'll never talk to that woman again.
Yeah, no, Jordan's been doing a lot of great things in TNA. It's an Impact now, I think.
Yep.
It's not TNA anymore. But it's been really cool to see. Even I think it wasn't Slammiversary. It was the pay-per-view before that. She was in the Ultimate X match.
Okay.
It was during Mania weekend, whatever pay-per-view that was. And it was just cool to see a woman in with all the guys competing for the X Division title. To me, that was just amazing. I mean, there's not too many females anymore that they kind of push like that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they did with Chyna back in the day.
Yep.
They did a little bit with Lita, but not a whole
Phoenix,
lot.
Yep.
She was more of the Team Extreme thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the one person I do wish, to me, Natalya's been in WWE for probably 15, maybe longer than that years.
Yep.
And they've never really given her a distinguished long push title run. And
they kind of give her I'm sure she comes up with ideas for her, persona and stuff, but it just I would say Natalya definitely deserves more credit. Yeah. I thought when she was with the Hart Dynasty, right. And I don't know how to put it without being disrespectful. It's not that she's a bigger woman; she's a tough woman.
Right.
And WWE's always had these supermodels and
Right.
these little girlies, that I could sneeze and would blow across the country. But Natalya, Beth Phoenix, China, Jazz, Victoria,
Right.
these are the girls that could work.
Exactly.
These are the girls that men could work with. But in their time periods, it was always the bra and panty and all the diva and the playboys. I get it. Sex sells. Women are beautiful, but in wrestling, these women got overlooked because there was somebody that looked like that.
Right.
Now, no disrespect to them, they probably were trying to the same thing. Maria, what was the other girl's name with the Bullet Club? Not Bullet Club. Redhead. Married to Mike Bennett. Did I already say her name?
Yeah, that's Maria Kanellis.
Oh, Maria Kanellis, and then Christy Hemme was the other one.
Oh, yes.
No disrespect to them, but they weren't really wrestlers. They were just eye candy that got in there. I mean, look at Trish Stratus in that Christy Hemme match. It was just awful.
Right.
But yeah, you got to see nibbles and bits. I mean, definitely Natalya deserves more. She constantly wanted to put him over.
Right.
They just
she's one that will give her whole heart and soul to wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
That is her identity.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously she's not old by any means, but in wrestling years in the women's industry,
I think she's got the most pay-per-view now and stuff, which is good because she's getting some records and accolades.
Right. But I wish they would just give her that one big title push.
Yep. Like this, her and Ronda Rousey thing's pretty sweet. It'd be nice if she could take it off of Ronda.
Right.
But,
will they? Who knows? But
yeah,
I wish they would. Because it's Money in the Bank's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, pay-per-views tomorrow. Yep. Unfortunately, we're not going to be doing, the Friends of the Scored Circle watch party here, like I like to call it. But everybody's busy. Holiday weekend. Life is life. For my where is it here? I'm trying to read my notes. For my Mount Rushmore, it was Victoria because I feel like if she would be around now, she would be, right up there with Sasha and, those girls. Just a sweetheart in person.
Oh, yes.
I've met her 3-4 times, and I always crack jokes to her, and she just, she ripped up my sign when I said I love you, at the show. You were there for that one.
Yep.
Because I was professing my love, to Emma as well. But, things got complicated. I was single then. I also put Flair in there because as much as she gets crap and how she always wins the title, that's her character, and I think what she does is amazing. I think she's one of the best ones out there right now. And then I put Becky, another one that can just get it done, and Beth Phoenix doesn't get enough love. Right. And on the discussion group, which I used to be part of, I actually put Beth Phoenix is better than Trish because I felt like she was more of a wrestler than Now Trish has done more probably for the business, but I'm basing it on just wrestling that I feel,
right?
Not ticket sales, revenue, and that stuff. I just feel like Beth Phoenix was like Natalya, a worker. Right. She was the girl that could go out there and probably beat up the guys. Right. So
that's what I said. It was kind of like a era in there that were lost, even with like Mickey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mickey. Totally forgot about Mickey.
Yeah, she's a great worker too. And it was,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she had her title reigns, but it was just that they were in that Divas era.
Yep.
And that was the thing that I think kind of stunted their career. I mean, it didn't really stunt their careers, but if they would have been in like today's the women's revolution age,
mm-hmm.
they would have been that much bigger.
Like if you take Beth, Natalya, China, Victoria, even put in Ivory, she could go a little bit. Jackie, you take all those girls from that era that just kind of got pushed because of the Playboys and the bikinis.
Right.
Put them in their own wrestling promotion against WWE today. I don't know. Those 4 horsewomen would look pretty
Right?
low on the totem pole, and that's just me. So I feel like those girls didn't get their due, but it's nice to see that Ivory went in the Hall of Fame, Beth went in the Hall of Fame, Victoria definitely deserves to be in there because
Yes.
again, she's a sweetheart, great worker, scary as hell when she puts that face on. And then one that I put in there because now so she hasn't done a lot, but she could do a lot would be your Piper Nevins, Dewdrop. I hate the name.
I hate the name too. I
And
wish
then
they would.
Tony Storm, Rhea. Those I feel like are going to be the next wave of people coming through. And with Piper, I've said this 100 times. Had she been more like Nia Jax coming in than Nia Jax, that would have been the most dominant female, I think, being the big tough girl than the small.
Right.
Yeah. And on camera, she looks like she's just a monster. But compared to me, like she's tiny as hell.
Right.
I'm a big boy. I'm a body guy. You know that. I got the muscles. I
Right.
don't have
Yeah.
any muscles
You
except
and me
for in this
both.
thing. But I feel like she could have been the Nia Jax that just runs through people.
Right.
Awesome Kong. Absolutely loved when she came on the scene. Justin, if you're listening, I hate you because you got to meet her at Stargate. Like that was the girl that was supposed to run through these divas and like
Right.
be the monster wrestler. I felt. And then when she finally came into WWE, I was so excited. And it just, life happened. And, oh, man, she could have been one that just screwed it up, for all these little pretty girls, Like, I like wrestling. Like, I love women and blah, blah, blah. But, like, if I'm watching wrestling, I want to watch wrestling.
See, and that's how I am, too. I mean, I understand the sports entertainment side of it, but I am a big fan of wrestling.
Yep. And Blair Onyx out there, Cora Jade, who's the other one? Sierra. These are some that I'd just love to see get up there and get going.
Well, is Sierra still the champ in OV? Is it OVW?
I think she lost that a while back. I know she's champ in another promotion. And not here to talk smack. I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, I mean, her and Joey would be great if they got called up.
Right.
We all stay in this area.
Them on AEW Dark last
week.
That
was pretty great.
Yeah.
One guy I do miss in the independent scene that I got to see him wrestle just shortly was Rennie D. I don't know if you remember him or not.
I remember him.
He was at Heavy on Wrestling when Chad Gable was there and Ari Daivari, and he wrestled just a lights out match down there. I was really hoping to watch him some more, and then he retired because of injuries, did the Pencil podcast, which I hope to get him on here because I like to use his Fit Butters as a sponsor. So if you're listening, Rennie D, please, I know I'm a small timer, but with your guidance, I could make it to the next level, to the mountaintops, because he's done the podcast world. But yeah, I just, he's from Eau Claire, local boy that I loved. Just Jack could have been amazing, AEW could have scooped that man up and just made him into something great.
Right.
But yeah,
they're starting to use JDX a little bit more too.
That's another. Oh man, the D stands for damn it, sign him. I think he's great. I love booing him because he wrestled Corbin, so I gotta boo the guy. But he's definitely one that. Back to the whole independent thing. He's making the rounds. He's not just sticking to the same 5 promotions, and I respect that. Granted, the other ones are doing what they want to do, but I feel like he's going out of his way to go, see the world and wrestle. He's not just sticking to Minneapolis, Chicago, and Wisconsin.
Right.
So, but then other people's goals are their goals, so I don't want to crap on their goals because, their situation could be different. So, no slack there. So, but yes, JDX is definitely one that I love to boo. And talk smack anytime he wrestles Corbin. So
that's how
I'm sure he said some choice words to me the last show. All right, we'll get on with the last question here, and then we'll have you plug what you want to plug. Oh, no, we got to do the collectible. That'll be the last thing. So we'll try to get through this next one really quick here. I don't want to keep you too long. Horrible. Let's see here. Where to go? Worst gimmicks. We'll switch to that other one. I'll save that for another time. Worst gimmicks. Any that come to mind?
Pretty much almost all of anything Baron Corbin's done, other than the Lone Wolf.
Sorry, Darren's brother.
Yeah. He stole the name from Darren.
That's right. And then
Yes.
I've been saying it, but I kept getting cut off. Sorry, Zach. This isn't throwing shade at you. That broke ass Corbin thing that he did. I remember another Corbin doing that. I'm pretty sure when they started being buddies, he took that from Darren.
Right.
I'm standing by that because I'm supporting my man, Darren Corbin, who did it first in Las Vegas. And that stuff was hilarious. Him out there just having a date with the title belt, getting kicked out of the promotion, So that's where I stand, Baron. You stole from Darren and you owe him lunch.
Yes. Yeah, no, I liked when he was the Lone Wolf, but just the happy Corbin, sad Corbin, poor Corbin, King Corbin. It's like
I kind of feel like Natalia vibes with it, with the constant changing of the thing, and
right. It's all the same thing, other than he doesn't have the long hair anymore.
Yep.
It just got old.
Yeah, I like Baron. I mean, not that video games matter, but he was one that I always took on the video games because I thought he was cool. The hair, I like him bald, not to be weird, but the tattoos, just Dick Solo just does what he wants to do. Definitely like Baron, but I do agree with you on, give the guy a serious run. He's obviously proven he can, turn chicken shit into chicken salad with what WWE gives them.
Well, that's even kind of like how Sandow was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he took that and just ran with it.
I actually wrote down like the worst gimmicks, and then I wrote some down that were on the list as ones that I enjoyed, and I put Stunt Double Sandown. That was the greatest. They should have kept going with that for a little longer. Yep. Miz gets, flipped over the rope. He just flips himself over the rope. He gets clothesline. He falls. Oh my gosh, that was great.
So funny.
Ones that I put down were like, pretty much every 80s wrestler. Repo Man, Berserker, Nails, just. And I'll make a little sidebar here quick, and I'll try to bring it back quick. Like Repo Man. Now, if the fans loved him and then he got cut, this is where I say that person does not have something that is world championship material.
Right.
He can work. The fans love him, but there's no way in hell I'm putting a Repo Man as my world champion. You know what I mean? Like, that's just smart business, or same with, Kerwin White, Chavo Guerrero, when he did the golf thing.
Oh, yes. That was
Yes, he may get over. He may be legit in the fans booking, but I just don't see you being the guy representing my company because that's not the vision I have. I want the big, strong guy that people are going to hate. But, yeah. There was actually one on a top 10 list that was called the Fat Chick Thriller. I'm stealing that for myself, the Fat Dude Thriller, because I think that's funny. That was Santa Claus's cousin. Isaac Yankem, the only reason I put him in the worst category was because it was a dentist, but I love Kane. Again, not to get political, he said some stupid shit, but I like Kane, the character, not the political guy. Seven, I'm a huge Dustin fan.
Yeah, that was
creepy.
Bad.
I actually have an autographed 7 card that Bob got me, and I think it's the greatest thing ever because I'm a Dustin fan.
That's awesome.
That gimmick is pretty trash. Max Moon.
Was Max Moon?
He was Conan. He had the cannon.
Oh, okay.
Shot off the fireworks. I thought that was kind of cool, but also it was superhero days. So I was like, I'll put him in the worst gimmick. And then the Yeti from WCW.
Oh, yes.
Hulk Hogan thing.
You didn't put Mantar on there?
I did have Mantar, and then I had Damian Demento. But for that guy, he actually made an event, the first Raw, with the Undertakers. So, I mean, he's got some bragging rights, I guess, if he ever tells his kids a story. And then the Oz, Kevin Nash, was pretty bad. But the other ones they had on there that I personally liked were Spirit Squad. I thought that was cool and annoying at the same time.
Right.
just 5 guys out there getting their butts kicked, getting dog crap put on them, the midgets impersonating them. And I mean, that was good TV.
Yeah.
Good way to have, the young guys take the bumps for DX.
Right.
Stunt double, we talked about. Goon. We all love the Goon up here in Minnesota.
Right. Because Ziggler was in the squad, right?
Yep, him and his brother.
Yep.
I don't think the one that was charged with murder, but then again, I could be wrong.
Right.
I didn't look that into. These two definitely need an action figure because I would buy it. Is Glacier and Mortis. Definitely. I'm a huge Glacier fan. When Dave used to do his Sunday auctions, I definitely paid $25 for an autograph, and someone was like, "You pay too much," and I was like, "Screw you." That's my childhood.
Right.
I didn't want anybody beating me, and they go for $10 on eBay if anybody's wondering.
Right.
And I think Loot Crate had the mask in their box. I think I paid like $15-20 for one, and then they're going for like $5. Overpaid for Glacier. Not mad about it at all.
You'll pay for the stuff that you want.
That's right. And whoever got those monies, I hope you invest in some cool shit. And then the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman's great.
Yeah.
Dude's always got a line around the corner. I feel like had he been a little younger and WWE could have done something maybe during that time with him, I feel like that would have been a fun one. Eugene, super great guy.
Yes, he is.
And then the Shockmaster, because that's iconic. I hear he's just a peach at these signings. I would love to get a glittered, Stormtrooper helmet signed.
Right.
And I'm sure he signs 100,000 of those things. One day I'll get one because
I can only imagine.
What was that?
I said I could only imagine him signing those.
Yeah, that's definitely, like I said, they're on the worst gimmick list, but those are ones that stand out to be great. And then I was a WCW fan. I'll admit, I'm not ashamed. I love Disco Inferno.
I'm with you on that, actually.
You are the third person to tell me that now. Like, Disco does not get enough credit.
It's such a dumb gimmick, but it worked.
Yeah, I just remember coming out and like, this guy is a douche. And I was like, he's great.
Yeah, right.
That is one guy on my bucket list of wrestling people to meet. So, all righty. We will move along here. Did you bring a collectible?
I mean, I got enough stuff on my wall.
Perfect. So this is my favorite segment out there. It's called Show Me the Collectible. So show me what you got.
Okay.
And we'll get you out of here.
This one, I have a signed album too by the whole band, but I got a Fozzy pick.
Oh.
That I got was it last summer at Rockfest.
Oh, you saw him at Rockfest. I saw him at the Target Center. That's right. Yep.
And then I got enough stuff back here.
All right. We're going on a tour, folks.
What we got? I got all my AEW figures up on the wall.
All right. And nice Cody, Young Bucks.
Yep. I don't know if I can see it enough up there, but when I met Sting a couple years ago, I got him to sign a red Louisville Slugger like the NWO Wolfpack.
Nice. He doesn't sign bats at like these cons now, I guess.
No, there's my famous CM Punk sign that was on AEW.
Yeah, that's worth framing. I'll give you credit for that.
And the backside of that is my Corbin sign. But I couldn't figure out a way to get both of them.
Nah, I mean, you made that one on TV. Corbin will forgive you. Right. So that's awesome.
I mean,
that is awesome.
That's some of my stuff. I mean, I got a lot of signed photos and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Eventually, hopefully, with the screen behind me, I can start showcasing some of that stuff behind us.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of got that back there. I didn't pay for it, so it's free to use. That's why I'm trying to experiment and stand out. Right. Anything else you want to share or plug before we go, so we don't keep you too long?
No, I really don't have a whole lot to plug. I mean, it's fun. Professional wrestling to me, it's getting a lot better. It's getting out there more, and to me, it's really kind of getting into that resurrection phase again.
Yeah,
I guess I haven't been to a whole lot of indie shows lately, which I wish I could make it to more. But it seems like there's more and more promotions. They're getting more people out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're bringing back a lot of the older people, but it's getting a new generation into it.
Yeah,
which is very good.
Well, you definitely need like the people with star power to sell tickets, and Heavy on Wrestling got some crap for that. It's just like, well,
see, to me that was the fun part.
Yeah, like I want to meet my heroes from my childhood. Your kid might not know who they are and think they suck, but
Right.
Eventually the people they're watching on TV are going to be right where we are.
Right. Well,
And that's why I like that Bobby Roode kid. Like I think that he's going to be something. I hope he becomes a wrestler so then I can say, like, I remember rooting for this kid to win a Halloween costume.
Right.
But, in wrestling, it's great. It's coming back. It's making more mainstream. It's getting popular again. Our love for the so-called F word that I don't like to say on here, I like to do in the quotations, I don't know why. But we don't use that word on here because it's derogatory. Your TV show is just as, scripted as what I watch every time I watch two men in tights wrestle. But,
right.
It's nice to see it coming back, getting the buzz that it needs.
Right.
Hopefully we don't go into a decline like we did for so many years. I'd like to see AEW succeed.
Yeah.
I want to see smaller promotions succeed. I definitely would love to do something in the wrestling business. I'm doing something like this. I've got goals and stuff, but that's another thing. But
yeah, so I said, I think it's going to take a lot for it to crash again because
Mhm.
there is a lot of people now that really, I feel like, respect the business more
Mhm.
than they ever have. And there's a lot of, like I said, the younger generation really getting into it again.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like my fiance, she had nothing to do with wrestling until she met me.
Mhm.
And she surprised me with meet and greets for Sting. So,
yeah. And that's the thing with Amy too. Like, I mean, she used to watch it when she was a kid. She vaguely remembers the Hardys, but she's right there with me watching. I think she just likes it because she gets to drink. That's why she likes First Wrestling so much, is because she gets to drink, and the swearing is just my favorite thing there, especially the Darren Corbin haters. But and the other thing I love about wrestling is obviously that's how you and I became friends, is because just at a show and just started talking. And that was probably what, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
and then now we talk almost
HOW shows a couple
Yep.
times, and we just kind of started talking. I think that what was it, 3-4 years ago, probably at the first Fortune Mania.
Yeah, you're standing in line and you're just like, aren't you the sign guy? And I was like, yeah, that's me. Like, not to like toot my own horn here, but like, I got that a lot for a while because I just put something stupid on a sign, it gets ripped up, I get attention,
Right.
So I just kept doing it. Not trying to sound like an egotistical jerk, get front row, sit there and just trash talk the wrestlers. And,
Right.
I built a strong community here, and that's what I love. Like if you need a figure or an autograph, I'm going to a show. I got you, you know,
you hook me up enough. That's
and that's what I'm here for. And my buddy Matt, I love Matt. He's a little carbon copy of me now. That kid is at every wrestling show. That's the guy you want there.
Right.
He's always trying to get front row, gets his sign ripped up. When we saw him at the promotion, I was so proud of him. Like, I was so proud of him getting that sign ripped up. And right after that, he pulls up another one. And I was like, I freaking love you, dude. Like, and Zach, Leroy, all the guys, Bob, Rick, I mean, just that's what it's about. The community, having fun, and just discussing wrestling. And that's why we are friends of the Squared Circle. So cheap plug there, but that's what I like, and that's why I'm trying to put this out there, and just have fun with it and hear our stories. Like, I can interview wrestlers if I want to. I'm sure I could get a handful of them. I got a few lined up, but I don't want to talk about their wrestling career. I want to talk about
the person.
Why did you want to become a wrestler? Like, did you collect anything? Did you have the action figures? Did you go to the shows? Somebody else can interview you about, like, how many bumps did you take? Did you wrestle Hulk Hogan? Did you win a title? That's another podcast.
Right.
Here we're just talking about what we love. So
that's kind of one of my big obsessions. Was a lot of people. There's one Metallica album that everybody hates.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because it was literally the theme song to a pay-per-view one year.
Okay.
And it's just, I always think it's funny because I actually have it on vinyl and everybody rips on me so much for having it. It's like, that's Metallica's worst album. Well, it correlated with wrestling to me, and that's why I love it. I mean,
no, I don't know if you're a big TikToker. I mean, I'm starting to make videos on there. Friend of the Squared Circle. I'm not trying to be Logan Paul or anybody have a bunch of followers. I'm just making wrestling content, stupid content, wrestling stuff. There's a song. It's "Running Up That Hill."
Oh, yep. From
And
should say it got famous from Stranger Things, but
okay, so it's on there
mhm.
now. Like you said, because it tied in with wrestling, I believe it was the first HBK versus Taker match or the second one, and I've been listening to that song since then because it just sucked me into that feud.
Yeah.
And then to hear it like everywhere, everybody's like, "This is the greatest song." I'm like, "Man, I've been listening to that song forever."
Right.
And it wasn't by a woman; it was by a man. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I can send you the other video. But I mean, I love it. It kind of correlated with the time I was going through, and
right,
kind of dealing with some stuff. But
yeah,
wrestling's always been there for me to pull me out of that stuff.
Hate Saint Anger, and I'm pretty sure it was. I want to say like Hell in a Cell or something. It was the theme song to that pay-per-view, and it was just something about it. I just loved it.
We should definitely try to look for those two video packages and send it to each other. So
Great.
So, but alrighty. I try to keep it to an hour, hour and a half. I don't want to keep you too long. One last chance. Anything else you got?
No, just
all right.
Keep supporting wrestling and enjoy it. I mean, that's all I can really say.
Well, I appreciate you being on. Again, we'll get you and the, by then, wife on, because I feel like on a special, I got like 6 interviews lined up, Mr. Big Shot here with the big beard. But I do appreciate you coming on. Thanks for being a friend of the Squared Circle, and we'll catch you next time, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Robert.
Yep.
We'll catch you soon.
Bye.
I got to figure out how to kick you out. Just ignore this if you're watching. There we go. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching if you're watching. Thank you for rewatching if you're a friend of mine. Again, huge shout out to Darren Corbin for sponsoring this podcast, Artisan Tattoo, Superior Creations, and the guys over at 13 Cards Subject to Change. Make sure you check out Darren Corbin's Patreon. Give him a like and follow on all those social medias. Check out Superior Creations so you can get custom tumblers just like this one. And as always, thank you for being a friend of the Squared Circle, and Crander Hugh out. Awkward smile at the end.